Okay, welcome to Insomnia Month. I'm chatting with Marieke Steen. Marieke, tell us a bit about what you do, and then we'll discuss insomnia.
Yeah, so thanks for having me. I'm a functional nutritional therapy practitioner. That's like a lot of words. So in short, it means I'm a nutritionist who's been trained in all the testing, functional like lab testing. So I'm working with gut testing and autoimmune and hormones and food sensitivities. I've learned it all because I've had to do it all for myself. And also because I'm curious. And so that's what this kind of functional practitioner thing basically means. And so, yeah, I'm focusing on hormone health, as I think probably everyone in the group, brings in their kind of area of, bits of pieces that they can help women with hormone chaos. And that's also what I do.
Awesome. So insomnia. Now, I know personally, when I was in early perimenopause, insomnia hit me like a truck.
Yeah.
It was horrible.
Yeah, I mean, sleep is, excuse my language, but it really is a bitch. And I mean, I used to be able to just sleep, and I haven't actually had so much problems with insomnia. Really grateful for that. But yeah, basically, I think ever since my end 30s, I started not sleeping well, which basically means, yes, you're laying in bed a lot or for a long time. And then people are like, oh, but you must have slept like 10 hours or so. Yeah, I was in bed maybe for 10 hours, but I didn't sleep for 10 hours. And then it's also about really getting that kind of restorative sleep, as I call it. Because you may also even have a light sleep for 10 hours, but not get any deep or REM sleep, and you just feel like crap in the next morning. You have brain fog, you're in a bad mood, and I mean, it's basically just this vicious cycle, right? You get up in the morning and you don't feel well, and you're already in this crappy mood, and you drink a whole lot of coffee, which makes things even worse. But it's just what you need actually to function through the day. And and then also it affects your satiety hormones, right? So you're actually inclined to have much more of that junk food or crave actually all the things that you shouldn't eat. So it's really a bad thing. And I think and then we always hear like, yeah, you need to sleep well. Yeah, but how,
Yeah, great.
Just good sleep, So it's about finding that fine line, really. But insomnia, interestingly, is actually often based on blood sugar imbalance. So there's two main things. Is basically when your blood sugar gets more sensitive. So that happens naturally as you age.
Mm-hmm.
It also comes on with, when your estrogen gets lower. So most women also see that actually in the second half of their cycle. That's what basically how it started for me. I wasn't, first 2 weeks I was sleeping great, and then like nothing anymore. So it's really when that estrogen goes down that you actually really see the difference. And estrogen is also actually protecting your blood sugar. So you have the two things really, and then you have usually a little bit more inflammation as well, especially in the second half of your cycle, and that gets even worse. So you get like in peri, we just get more cortisol. So we have a higher general level of stress hormone, and many women talk about feeling less resilient or feeling more stressed, or basically wonder like, when I was 30, all this stuff, like I could deal with it, but basically, yeah, so we have all these things that are impacting our blood sugar, basically having high cortisol levels or having sources of inflammation in your body will also impact your blood sugar. And it's also really the time to look at your diet and really make sure you start with a good breakfast, and not have cereal in the morning, or just a bunch of coffee and nothing else. So really we need to, I've had clients where we really just changed the breakfast first, and that really helped them actually sleep better at night. But I think when you want to get, when you really have insomnia and you can't go back to sleep, what I've seen work well as well is getting a snack before you go to sleep. And I really like to to have something that is high protein and high fat as well. But then, of course, you don't want to have like a full meal, because if you have a full stomach, you can't sleep either. So, something like collagen powder is really great. Or, you might find that strange, but, just having a spoonful of, cashew butter, or, pumpkin seed butter, or, any of those nut butters that have good fats, but also give you a little bit of protein. And this is basically the ideal thing that you would eat at a time when you wake up and you can't go back to sleep, or before you go to sleep, so that you actually don't get that wake up. Because you actually do wake up because your blood sugar gets low while you sleep, and then your stress hormone goes up, and then you're wide awake and you can't go back to sleep. And then often, I mean, what do we do when we wake up? Well, we reach for our phone, right? Because we're like, okay, shit, I can't sleep anymore, and you're tossing and turning. But I mean and I can naturally see why you would do that, but it's really like, don't do it, because that blue light from your screen, and even just scrolling through Instagram, or looking at videos or pictures, it's really triggering your brain. So it's stimulating your brain, and it makes you more awake, and it will be even harder to get back to sleep.
So just quickly going back to what you were saying about breakfast, and I think that's one that I just want to sort of hone in on that, because I think a lot of people think that sorting out sleep is about looking at what they do from, let's say, 4 p.m. onwards or 6 p.m. onwards. But actually, as you've rightly said, looking at breakfast and then looking at how we keep our blood sugar stable through the day can impact the night, can't it?
Yeah, exactly. Because like in the morning, our blood sugar is the most sensitive. That's why. So, I mean, I don't want to say like carbs are all bad, but the best way to have carbs is I just save them for my dinner. I mean, you always have carbs, right? Because you will have, some sort of vegetables or things in, you can't basically have a meal where there's no carb, unless you're just eating butter or So, but the idea is really to have fat, fiber, and protein with every meal. So you make sure you have like a nutritious meal that will, that will not spike your blood sugar. Because when you go off that, as I call the roller coaster, right from the morning, basically your body will continue to do that all day. So, and then during the day you will not feel it, because I mean, you will get a crash of energy, of course, but most people don't realize, right? It's normal for them to reach for a coffee or a snack, but this is, that's the time when you want that something, when you want something sweet, or like a coffee or energy drinks, or something that has caffeine, or that will, that little pick me up. That's really the signal from your brain that tells you, I need energy. And it's basically because normally your body, it doesn't need energy all the time from food or drinks. If your metabolism is running well, you will have some fat, energy stored in fat cells that your body will be able to access. But if you're on this blood sugar roller coaster, your body's not able to access that energy. So you actually need to bring it in on a regular schedule, so that your body doesn't suffer from low glucose.
So for people who are kind of watching this and thinking, okay, but what does that look like? What would be, I don't know, a sort of a template, 2 or 3 things that people could have for breakfast that would just start their day well?
Yeah, I mean, typical eggs, So I really like to recommend like an egg frittata. That's like a very easy thing that you can even prepare ahead. Just whisk off, a big bunch of eggs and you put in some leftover veggies or frozen vegetables even, and you just throw it all in the oven.
Mhm.
And there you have like a great breakfast. I mean, you could add in some ham or whatever you like, or sprinkle on some feta cheese or stuff like that. And that's kind of a savory breakfast that you can make ahead and basically eat it, like a pizza slice or something
Yeah.
in the morning, and have your, you have your coffee with that, or matcha or whatever you like to drink. And then for people who, feel like they can actually eat something savory in the morning, I like to recommend making like a smoothie or like a smoothie bowl rather, or having maybe some like a chia pudding. So that's a great thing and really don't skimp on the fats, and make it substantial, because some people, they just really, they have the small bowl, and then you're hungry like 2 hours later. So and it's not about like eating less, or no, just really eat, add some coconut. So yeah, you can make like a chia pudding with chia seeds and flax seeds and hemp seeds, and you can add protein powders or collagen, so you have more protein. You can also sprinkle nuts and seeds on it, like the pumpkin seed or sunflower. Yeah, I also like to add maca powder, which is great actually for also boosting estrogen. And yeah, and then you can just add, I usually use like 2 to 3 tablespoons of full fat coconut milk, and then I just use the rest of water. So, and then you have like a really kind of thick, nice bowl of cereal. And you could even, if you want something warm in winter, you can even like warm the water and the milk, or just warm it up slightly so you don't burn it, but so it could be warm as
Okay.
well. And then you can just sprinkle some low glycemic fruit, like now we have berries in season, blueberries or strawberries are great. They don't have too much sugar, and you just have a little bit of that. Or I also like to use goji berries. They they're dried, and they don't actually spike your blood sugar as much either. They're pretty low sugar. Or you could, and in fall, I love to use pumpkin, for instance, which is very sweet per se. So you don't actually need to like add any other sugars. Or yeah, you could, have some apple or whatever. So I think those are two things that you
Yeah.
could, that you can use. And I even have like dinner leftovers, or I will have chicken for breakfast. So if you can stomach that, or I sometimes have mackerel or salmon. So for anyone who can stomach eating fish or things like that, you don't, you can go crazy with these things, but really go with something that's high protein, like a meat or a fish or chicken, and that also has good fats. So you can always add avocado, or eggs will have good fats. So you don't actually need to necessarily add something to that. And if you really need like a slice of bread, then look for bread that doesn't have too much carbs. So toast is usually not the best choice, but go darker, and with breads that are more consistent, like the rye breads or the kind of pumpernickel breads, they're usually pretty low in carb, if you like them. Of course.
So I'm now suddenly thinking, ooh, scrambled eggs on rye toast. Yeah, I'm in.
Yeah, even with sardines,
Yeah.
it's I really I like that stuff. So, and I mean,
Yeah.
you can also look at I like to make pestos, or using tomato paste, or you can have some like spreadable cheese, like goat cheese. Or so there's so many things that you can also add that make it a little bit taste a little bit more interesting, with or hummus. So if you do like savory, you know, there's so many things that you can eat, really.
Yeah.
So, you know, don't just be curious and adventurous and try out new things, and yeah.
Awesome. So aside from food, what other sort of top tips would you give to people to help their sleep?
Yeah, so I mean, there's many things, right? And I actually have put together a optimal sleep checklist. So now going through the basics, right? Don't go to bed with a full stomach, you know, eat early dinner, make sure your bedroom is really dark. But also in the morning, make sure you actually get some light in your eyes, you know, get some daylight. Because, you know, this is our sleep and wake cycle, really. It's based on those sleep and wake hormones
Yeah.
that are
Yeah.
triggered really by our light exposure. So, you know, if you don't get that light in the morning, we will not have enough melatonin in the evening that will actually make us go to sleep. But I think most women actually don't have a problem of not being tired.
Yeah.
And actually, you know, so that's usually not the problem, the falling asleep. It's actually the keeping asleep, right? And there, I mean, there can be many things. I've really, you know, I have this kind of hyperactive brain. So I really have, you know, monkey brain. And I know it's also a lot based in my gut health. So I'm working on that and really, you know, helping calm those neurotransmitters. But in the meantime, for myself, I found a workaround in using GABA, which is an amino acid, also a neurotransmitter that's calming. So, and you can even, you know, I'm using a powder that I add in my water, and I drink that before I go to sleep. And I really love passion flower extract. And, you know, I'm wearing this Fitbit thing.
Mhm.
So I can see that it helps me with my deep sleep. So
Yeah.
when I take passion flower, I have more deep sleep than when I don't take it.
Mm.
So those are some herbs that I really like. And I mean, I've also see working well a blend with, you know, a green tea extract, GABA, and what was the third thing again? It was GABA, green tea. It's called Zen Sleep. Oh, there was a third thing. Oh yes, tryptophan. So 5-HTP.
Yeah.
So
Which is
that
what people have to be careful with because that can interact with medication, can't it? 5-HTP.
for anyone who's taking SSRIs, you know, antidepressant medications, that's something they should not take.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Awesome.
so those are basically good, you know, ingredients that can help sleep. I also have them listed in my sleep list. But then, of course, there's the hormones, right? So because for me, right now I'm taking progesterone in the second half of my cycle, and progesterone is actually it's our Zen hormone, and it's also stimulating the release of GABA. So progesterone for me has been really, really helpful with sleep. But what we're really, I mean, we're talking about insomnia today. What causes insomnia is either our blood sugar not being balanced, and we have that kind of, you know, roller coaster all day, or low estrogen. So it usually comes when we're kind of further into peri, when our estrogen gets too low.
Yeah.
And there, of course, estrogen replacement therapy can also help a lot.
Awesome.
So now I've had a client, she had so sleep was really her biggest problem. And I think we were kind of getting desperate because we tried it all. You know, she got the hormones, and we looked at like improving her nutrients, worked on mitochondria, and every time it was getting a bit better, but then it wasn't again. And so I told her, I mean, there must be something. I mean, you must have something that's really stressing you out, where, you know, in the room that you sleep, like, you know. And in the end, we discovered she had mold. So she wasn't actually sleeping in a room with mold, but she was working from home and it was in her office. And of course, what mold does is it's kind of, spreading all over the house as well. And I've actually seen, I've had myself a mold problem as well in my bedroom. And that, that's why I'm working on my gut health again. But I've seen that a lot with clients as well, that, I've gotten actually more and more people who have mold issues and it's really that, any kind of toxicity. It doesn't have to be mold, it can be heavy metals. And then we also, when we're in peri and we get maybe a little bit of osteoporosis. So we really, our body stores heavy metals and also lead in our bones. So when we get a bit of bone loss, all those toxins get released. And so you actually, that's kind of one of the reasons why, some women just get really sick when they get into perimenopause, because they have all those toxins released all of a sudden and they don't even know what's happening to them. So, if you've tried all these things and you've tried it, nothing is working, I think then it's really the time to look into, toxic overload and look into things like mold or heavy metal toxins or, other things that could. So anything that's really stressing out your body, right? But I think so for me in general, it really helps to also, have some time winding down in the evening. I know that not everyone needs that, but, there's a specific type of people, probably most introverts like myself. So I can't sleep if I'm, awake until and talking to friends and being out. And, I know when I get back from like a restaurant with friends, I need like 2 hours to calm down. So, I may go to sleep, but I will, toss and turn for an hour before I can get to sleep. So, these are some things, right? Not using your phone in the evening, having early dinner, making sure your bedroom is cool as well. And it's dark. So, and, if you don't have blackout curtains, you could also use like a sleep mask or stuff like that can help. Yeah, and also not, drinking too much before you go to bed, because you will just wake up at night and have to go use the bathroom. But yeah, many women have to go up during the night. As long as you're able to go back to sleep, I think that's not a problem. But I think the worst thing is really start looking at your phone and scrolling and start watching videos or maybe even chatting with people. Rather actually, yes, if you reach for your phone, go search for like a meditation or something that can maybe help you go back to sleep. And then I think for people who actually are already in this frustrated mood where you basically you actually already go to bed with the expectation, I'm that tired, but I won't be able to sleep. So this is actually like a blockage you have in your brain already. So you already go with that expectation, right? And there I found EFT, emotional freedom technique, very helpful in kind of releasing that, because you need to kind of get rid of that memory in your brain.
Otherwise it's just a self-fulfilling prophecy, isn't it?
So it's kind of like a reset. So this is something you could also, you can, if you Google it or if you look on YouTube, there's, a bunch of videos that you can find even on, just look for EFT insomnia or, things like that. And you will probably find like a wealth of videos that where you can just follow the instructions and follow along.
Awesome. I feel like we've given people a lot of information. And obviously, if anybody wants to work with you to get your help to really dig deep into this, I'll add your details at the end, and people can work with you anywhere, can't they?
Yeah, definitely. And I'd love to, the sleep list, if anyone wants to download it, maybe we can link in the video. So, that's a free resource, so everyone can benefit from it.
Awesome.
And yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Marieke.
Yeah, you're welcome. You have a good day.